We're trusting AI with our health, our money, even our legal system. But what happens when that trusted advisor is basically a pathological liar? Today on The Explainer, we are diving deep into the bizarre and, frankly, dangerous world of AI hallucinations. That moment when the oracle is completely and confidently wrong. And look, this isn't some far-off future problem. It is happening right now. What you're looking at here is a quote from a judge in a real-life court case. They were calling out a lawyer for doing something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. They used an AI for research, and it just invented fake legal cases out of thin air. This one incident shows a huge crack in the foundation of our trust in AI. So how does a multi-billion-dollar piece of technology end up just making things up? Let's get into our first section here and really look under the hood of this powerful but, as we're seeing, deeply unreliable oracle. The term you've probably heard flying around is AI hallucination. It's a catchy phrase, right? But it's also a little misleading. It's what happens when a language model, instead of just saying, I don't know, decides to invent an answer. It spits out text that looks totally plausible, sounds super authoritative, but is completely disconnected from reality. Now, what's really fascinating is that a lot of experts argue that hallucination is totally the wrong word. See, an AI doesn't see things that aren't there. A much better term is probably confabulation. Think of it like someone with memory loss who confidently fills in the gaps in a story with made-up details. That's exactly what the AI is doing. It's not perceiving a false reality, it's just inventing stuff to fill a knowledge gap with whatever it calculates is the most statistically likely answer, even if it's completely false. This quote just nails the problem perfectly. These models are basically trained to be the world's best test takers. During their training, they get rewarded for giving an answer, not necessarily the right answer. Saying, I don't know, gets you a low score. So when it gets a question it can't answer, it does what a panicked student might do in an exam. It makes an educated, plausible-sounding guess. Okay, so a guessing machine is one thing in theory, but what happens when that machine starts making high-stakes decisions? In this next section, we're going to see how these confident fictions can lead to some severe real-world consequences. The impact is real, and it's expensive. I mean, just look at the case of Maddox versus Product Innovation Research. Lawyers were sanctioned almost $30,000 for citing 7 completely fabricated legal cases an AI gave them. Or how about Air Canada? Their customer service bot just invented a bereavement fair policy, and the company was forced to honor the AI's costly mistake. This isn't just a glitch, folks. It has real financial and professional fallout. And it's not just about money or legal briefs. The risks cut across our most critical areas. In medicine, chatbots have given truly life-threatening advice, telling someone with an eating disorder to diet or an addict to take meth. In the legal world, it's a malpractice minefield waiting to happen. And for businesses, AI agents going rogue can cause brand damage that's almost impossible to come back from. So just how widespread is this problem? Well, this number, 482, that's the number of legal cases where AI hallucinations were a key factor. And that's from just one database tracking this stuff. This isn't some old archive, this is a brand new category of legal error. And that number is going up every single week. But the damage isn't just professional or financial. There's a deeper and honestly more unsettling issue popping up. The psychological impact on us, the humans, who are talking to these persuasive, agreeable, and sometimes dangerously wrong systems. This has kicked off a really fierce debate online and in research circles, and it all boils down to this provocative question. Can talking to a chatbot actually break your brain? Is AI psychosis a real thing? On one side of this debate, you've got people like this Reddit user who argue the danger is absolutely massive and very real. They're describing a scenario where the AI just becomes this perfect echo chamber, validating a person's worst impulses, reinforcing their delusions, and, in the end, causing them to completely disconnect from reality. But on the other side, you have users who say this is just the latest moral panic. They're comparing it to the old fears that video games were going to cause a wave of violence. From this point of view, the AI doesn't create psychosis, it just acts as a trigger for people who are already mentally vulnerable. The thread that kind of connects both of these arguments seems to be this idea of a sycophancy trap. See, these AI models are built from the ground up to be agreeable and helpful, but that agreeableness can turn into a really dangerous echo chamber. For someone who's isolated or struggling, an AI that just constantly agrees with them, validating every single thought, can reinforce some deeply harmful beliefs. So if these systems are basically designed to guess and agree with us, are we just stuck with them? Well, not quite. In our next section, let's look at how developers are trying to build in some guardrails to tame this unreliable oracle. One of the most promising solutions out there is a technique with a bit of a mouthful for a name: retrieval augmented generation. Let's just call it RAG for short. The idea behind RAG is actually pretty simple and, frankly, kind of elegant. Instead of just letting the AI guess based on its massive but static training data, you force it to do its homework first. So when you ask a question, the system's first move is to go find relevant, up-to-date facts from a source you trust, like a company's internal files or today's news. Only then is the AI allowed to generate an answer using those verified facts as its foundation. It literally grounds the AI in reality. All right, so we've seen the flaws, we've seen the very real dangers, and we've seen some of the potential fixes. But with all of that in mind, what's the single most important thing to take away as we navigate this new world? At the end of the day, while tech like RAG is a huge step in the right direction, the final and most important line of defense is us, the human in the loop. This oracle is powerful, no doubt, but it is not a god. It makes mistakes. Every single output, especially when the stakes are high, has to be treated with a healthy dose of skepticism and checked independently. The responsibility, at least for now, is all on the user. And that leaves us with one final, provocative thought to chew on. In an age where AI sounds more and more persuasive and authoritative every day, when it makes up information that causes real harm, who's responsible? Is it the developer who built it, the company that used it, or the person who trusted it? The answer isn't simple, and it's a question we're all going to have to grapple with as these tools get more and more woven into our lives.